We Filipinos still have a long way to go when it comes to investing for the future. We seem to prioritize instant gratification, but I think how to invest properly is something that we all need to be familiar with.
It's simple, really. You work today, you invest, then leave better tomorrow.
Besides, investing shouldn't be scary, you know. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. I mean, I started when I was a teen. I hope that I inspire my kids that when they're old enough, they'll tell me that they're excited to do the same.
What's important is to find a good reason to invest. It becomes so much easier when you visualize your goal.
People think I travel so much and I have a YOLO or you only live once attitude. But the truth is, I travel because that's my business and I make sure I invest in it, spend time for it to give people the best experiences they deserve.
When people find out that they invest for what I'm passionate about, they always say, "What?" But I always just tell them that I can afford to fund my passions because of my investments.
The thing is, some people are just too shy to ask for financial advice. Like asking for help is seen as a sign of weakness, when in fact, it's through asking that we learn the best way of doing things, even in investing. With ATRAM, you can engage and be confident that you have a partner in achieving your financial goals.
People usually think investing means buying a house or retiring. Sure, it can, but saving for smaller goals is another way to do it.
People think investing is expensive. Nowadays, even with a small amount of money, you can already begin your investment with ATRAM. It's easy to make it a monthly or even a weekly routine. ATRAM makes investing simple, even for busy moms like me.
And even if you're always on the go, like me, you can keep an eye on your investments online. Plus, I'm confident that ATRAM, my trusted partner, will take care of my portfolio and make sure it gets invested in the right place.
Never settle for average. Why? Because life is what we make it. And a strong investment partner can help us live the life we want.
ATRAM is dedicated to delivering an investment experience that helps people get more out of life. In fact, it was built with that single focus, to help clients attain their investment objectives. We see Filipinos invest in their dreams and aspirations. With ATRAM, building the future is a task we can surely take on.
With ATRAM,
You
Can take on tomorrow.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this week's ATRAM webinar. I'll be your host, DJ De Jesus, Product Manager here at ATRAM. Today, we invited one of our high-in-demand guests. But before anything else, this webinar will be recorded and be available on our YouTube channel, ATRAM Studio. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, ATRAM Studio, and hit the bell icon to get notifications on all of our videos. We have a Q&A portion before the end of the webinar, and we would love to hear from you. You may ask them or your questions by clicking on the Q&A button below your screens. Feel free to ask your questions all throughout the webinar. There's a special surprise to those who ask questions, which we will announce later in the webinar. Also, please stay until the end for a quick feedback survey. Randell Tiongson is a registered financial planner and is an advocate of life and personal finance. With nearly 30 years of experience in the financial services industry, may it be banking, mutual funds, insurance, and financial planning, or management consultancy, he has become one of today's most respected personal financial coaches in the country. Aside from his training and speaking endeavors, he is also a director of the Registered Financial Planners Institute of the Philippines and is also a strong advocate of financial education for overseas Filipino workers. He has given lectures in 15 countries outside the Philippines. We would like to welcome again to our webinar series, Randell. Happy to have you back po. Your last webinar with us really got good feedback and we got a lot of questions from that webinar. So thank you for being our finance coach. I'm sure our audience has a lot of questions.
All right. So, okay. Ayan. So thank you for having me. No, it's nice to be back with another great. I mean, I think your webinar series is really catching on. A lot of people are talking about it. So Nice to be back. Okay, so
Thank you
okay,
po, and we always love to have you back as well.
yeah,
So, sir,
yeah.
you have the floor. Please feel free to now
Oh,
share
okay.
your screen.
So yeah, thank you. So thank you for everybody. So good morning to everyone. It's not every day that you come in the at this time. Before lunch, we're gonna do a session. But I want to be a little bit more practical. Atram's very known for all these really important and sometimes nosebleed sessions. But this morning will be a little bit very practical. No, hindi naman ako nosebleed type, but I will leave up to the other guys to do that. But I want to be able to guide you towards a more with the pandemic and everything, it got us to thinking about our finances. Sa totoo lang, one, the pandemic, maybe some of us became fearful. I mean that's a common notion, no? Fearful ka, paano na to? Paano yung trabaho ko? Paano naipon ko and everything? That was one. And second, the others naman are make you want, teka, parang kulang yung ginawa ko. And now is a perfect time, now that we're slowly getting into the groove of things. We're learning how to live with the virus. We're about, well, not yet there, but we're normalizing, or whatever that new normal is. That in fact, di na nga new normal na lang. We're getting into that. Now is a perfect opportunity to take a look at our finances and let's see what we can do. And that's what I want to do for you this morning. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna share my screen for you guys. So I want to be able to guide you towards something that I feel is really important. No, I still want to be able to, at this point in time, help you, guide you to continue still to build your wealth despite the setback. There's a setback. We have a lot of plans at the beginning of the year. I personally have a lot of plans at the beginning of the year. Pero syempre, di ba, nabago lahat yan. Travel plans, business plans, and so forth and so on. But despite the pandemic happening, it did not stop me from pursuing. In fact, pursuing my goal to be able to manage my finances and even continue to build wealth. No, if you my ATRAM friends can access that. I was actually putting money, at certain times, despite the uncertainty. I took advantage of certain things. So yun yung bagay na tuturo ko sa inyo. So pandemic, yeah. Did it change the way we handle our finances? Dapat hindi. It's still foundational, it's still fundamental, and that's what I want to guide you. But before we want to do that, I want to be a little bit more interactive with you. So I want us to take a test. So in your own places, now you have a piece of paper or maybe your tablet or your phone, or maybe open a window in your computer. I want us to take a test. Diba? If you take the test and the results there will siguro sell the concept of why I need to handle my finances better. And in fact, I have good news for you. If you stay all the way through the program and then you become a little bit more interactive, mamimigay ako ng bago kong libro. I wrote a new book. It's my 5th book. It's the no-nonsense infographic guide to personal finance. Okay? And I think you will like this because it's presented differently. It's not presented like a book. It's presented like an infographic. No? So you see all of these things. And for those of you who will stay until the end of the program and will be interactive, we would give away 5. So thank you to ATRAM for allowing me to be able to spread the financial advocacy, and the book will be help you. So yan may pa-bonus ako sa inyo. Early Christmas gift for me, for you. So let's take a test. I want us to take a test, and I'm gonna go a series of questions for you. And in the series of questions, I want you to answer it as truthful as you can. All right? And maybe in a piece of paper, I want you to jot down your answer. Okay lang ba mag-Tagalog? Kasi ito mga taga-ATRAM, nosebleed to mga to lagi, ma-English. Ako, hindi masyado. No? So if you're okay with us, I'll do a little bit of a Taglish. So gawin natin, mag-exam tayo, mag-test. I know you don't like test. I don't like test. Pero this is very personal. It is not one of those, sakit sa ulo type na test. It's gonna be a very personal one. It's gonna be a practical one. Wala pong math. Okay? So walang math. So let's say, ready na tayo? Ready? So we want to be able to ready. We want to do that? Sige, you want to be able to see that perspective. So, wow, there's almost 200 participants pala. Kala ko mga 20 lang kayo. Anyway, iba talaga pag libre ang seminar. Dami nga attend. Anyway, so let's take a test here. So first and foremost, let's talk about your savings. May savings ka ba? So savings is the amount of money you have in the bank, in your ATM. Maybe you can do a little bit, may GCash ka, or meron kang, ano ba yung, yung mag-invest ka sa GCash mo, may ganun ka, or GSave or something. Meron kayong mga ganun, those are savings. Basta ang rule is, pwede mo siya withdrawin anytime. Okay? So yung mutual fund mo, stock market mo, hindi po savings yan. Kasi nga, pag withdraw mo yan, pwedeng lugi ka. So yung madali withdrawin, and time deposits, money market, savings accounts, yung pera mo, baka may baul ka pa, di ba? May dibaul ka pa or may alkansya ka pa sa bahay. I want you to more or less take a look at the total of that and put it in your mind. Now, I also want you to understand that meron tayong gastos kada buwan or your monthly expenses. So what I want to ask is, how much is that savings with respect to your monthly expenses? Assuming that you spend 25,000 pesos a month, yan ang monthly expenses mo. Do you have at least 3 times of that tucked away somewhere in savings? In your ATM, in your whatever it is, wherever it is. Okay? So kung 25, meron kang 75, 80, 90, 100, then ang answer mo letter A. Okay? May pera ka, pero parang parang medyo 40,000 lang. May 25 na expense ka, tapos ang pera mo 35, 40, 45, then maybe your answer should be letter B. Or, syempre, di ba, naubos yung pera mo, naubos yung savings mo, less than 1 month na lang. 25,000 yung yung expense, pero 20 na lang yung pera mo, or wala ka pang pera, nag-iintay ka pa ng sweldo. So your answer should be letter C. So again, the answer should be A, B, or C. And please jot down your answer. Lista nyo kung A, B, or C yan. So A, if it's 3 times, B, if 1 to 2 times, and C, if it's less than 1 month. So yan yung savings nyo, okay? Moving forward, I hope you got this, no? And maybe I'm talking too fast, but I'd like to pace it a little bit. Next is budgeting. Nagba-budget ba kayo? Okay? When I say budgeting, nililista nyo expenses nyo, lumalabas. Some people, may naka-Excel, iba dito may app, iba dito may notebook, may ledger. My wife still uses notebook for our budgeting. So, pero nakalista yan. So the question is, do you have a structured budget and detailed record of your expenses? You know what's coming in and you know what's going out. Nakalista yan. Meralco, tubig, telepono, insurance. Nakalista lahat yan. Alam mo, natatrack mo kung magkano pumapasok at magkano lumalabas. Then your letter A. Hindi pong bili tayo ng milk tea. Teka, titingin ko muna Excel ko, bubuksan ko. Yung ganong klaseng tao, exage na yun. Very, very detailed. Some people are very, very detailed. Okay, so your letter A. Now, meron mga tao na hindi naman ganun ka-detailed, like me. My wife is more detailed than me when it comes to expenses. Okay? But so ako, more or less, alam ko in a month, magkano gagastusin ko, and so forth and so on. The details, my wife does that. But ako, I'm more general. So I have an idea of how I spend, and maybe I have a ballpark figure of my spending. So may ganun lang. So more or less, alam ko, gumagasto ko ng 50,000 a month. Parang ganun. Pero hindi ganun ka-detalyado. So maybe your letter B. Or your letter C, and maraming ganito, walang idea. Basta kung may matira, kung wala, di gipit. Yung mga ganong mindset, no? They just wing it. Bahala na. Whatever, mga ganon. So, yung pag-budget, A ka ba, B ka ba, or C ka ba? So, listan nyo yung answer nyo. Whether you're A, B, C. OC ka sa budget mo, or talagang bahala na si Batman. Okay. Next naman is your life insurance. Okay? May insurance ka na ba? May coverage ka na ba ng insurance mo? Okay, do you have at least 3 times your annual income? So tingnan niyo yung policy niyo. Let's assume that you earn 500,000 a year. May income ka. Ang total income mo pati bonuses mo, 500,000 a year. Okay? Meron ka bang at least 1.5 million coverage? 1.5, 1.8, 2 million, 2.5. So kung yun ang sagot mo sa coverage mo, then answer mo is letter A. Okay? 3 times your annual income. Regardless kung ano yung policy mo, term yan, VUL, whatever. Pero pwedeng meron kang insurance pero only 1 to 2 times your annual income. So let's assume that your income a year is 1 million, but you only have 1.2, 1.3, 1 million or 1.5 million coverage, or maybe up to 2 million. Then your answer should be letter B. Okay? And letter C, your coverage is less than your annual income. May income ka na 1 million, pero ang coverage mo 500. Or pwedeng wala. Or may coverage ka nga pero paso or lapse. Then your answer will be letter C. So A, B, or C. All right? Next. investments. Ayan, di ba? Alam ko mga ATRAM followers kayo, so naman nag-i-invest kayo. Nag-i-invest ka na ba? Meron ka na bang inumpisahan na programa? Okay? So, ito more, not so much the amount, but where you put it. So, letter A ka, if you invest in stocks, you have mutual funds, you have UITF, you have a VUL, or maybe you're dabbling into property, or kahit naging mo na, forex, crypto, medyo ano na, hindi na to, kumbaga, hindi na to basic type of an investment. Okay? So, letter A ka. Yung may volatility na yung investments mo, letter A ka na. Okay? On letter B, yes, nag-invest ako pero gusto ko safe lang, time deposit lang, or yung may money market. Ayoko yung umakit baba yung pera, natatakot ako dyan. So, gusto ko lang premium bonds or pag-ibig MP2. Ayoko kinakabahan ako. So, letter B ka. More on the safe side ng investments mo. Kaya, bagay, walang tama, walang mali. And letter C, naku, hindi ko pa iniisip yan. Bata pa ako. Why would I worry about investment? I'm so young. I'm only 64. Mga ganyan. Ano? So, I don't have investments yet. Medyo wala pang pera. Paano ako mag-i-invest? Kaya nga ako ma-attend ng seminar, di ba? Okay, anyway. So, letter C ka. Again, guys, wala pong tama, wala pong mali. Okay, sa sagot. And then later on, I'll help you try to understand your answers. Okay, next. Ayan. Ito, favorite. Utang, di ba? May mga utang ba tayo? Ayun. Di ba? Ito mga taga-ATRAM, hindi na alam ang konsepto ng utang, hindi umuutang yung mga yan, ano? Hindi po ako taga-ATRAM, kaibigan lang po nila ako. So, no debt. Okay? Ikaw na, wala kang utang. So, okay, happy ako for you. Wala kang utang eh. Ayoko niyan eh. So, kung letter A, wala kang utang. May credit card ka, pero bayad yan at the end of the month. Pagdating ng billing mo, magkano, naglasada ako, Shopee ako, 11-11, di ba? Inabangan ko yon. Tapos, kumarga ako ng 20,000 pesos sa aking credit card. Pero nung billing, binayaran ko yung buo. Okay? So, zero ka every time. So, wala kang debt. Okay? So, yan. So, walang personal loan, wala kang ganun. Okay? Letter B, meron kang debt, pero ito yung, in a way, good kind of a debt. May real estate mortgage ka, may hinuuluga kang bahay, may mortgage kang condominium, o sasakyan mo. So, mortgage type, so letter B yung sagot mo. Okay? Letter C, may mortgage ka na, and or may credit card ka, and or may personal loans ka, or meron kang utang sa kapitbahay mo, o meron kang utang natin pong araw-araw ka sinisigal na kamotor. Ganun type ng utang. So, letter C na po yung sagot natin. Ibig sabihin, nagbabayad ka ng mataas na interest, or kung saan ka na umuutang ng pera, dumidiskarte ka na. So, A, walang utang. B, mortgage type utang. Letter C, all other kind of utang. Letter C. So, A, B, or C. Type of an utang. Okay? Next. Retirement. Naghahanda na ba tayo ng retirement? One of my favorite topics. Maybe ATRAM friends, let's have a retirement seminar in the future. Love ko yan kasi nalulungkot ako ng mga Pilipino hindi marunong mag-prepare sa retirement eh. 'Di ba? Umaasa lang sa kamag-anak. Sabi nga nila, money is relative. The more money you have, the more relatives you have. Kaya marami sa atin tumutulong sa magulang, nagsusuporta kasi hindi sila nakapaghanda. Okay? So kaya iba, hindi, magre-ready ako ng retirement. So ikaw yung tipong tao na nag-umpisa ka na ng retirement mo. Nag-umpisa ka na, may UITF ka na, may mutual fund ka na, may VUL ka na, meron ka ng whatever, nag-umpisa ka na, meron ka ng pera. Love ko yung pera, yung PERA. Tingnan nyo yung pera.seedbox. So may plugging pa. I love that. I started that myself. So I have a separate investments. May video po ako doon with Dino Basa. So panoorin nyo po yun. May YouTube po ako doon about the digital pera. So nag-umpisa ka na. Ibig sabihin, nagre-ready ka sa retirement mo. Hindi pa ganun kalaki, pero inumpisahan mo, okay na yan. Your answer is letter A. Now, letter B, yes, nag-i-invest ako. Pero kasi ang take ko namin sa investment, yung inaka-identify, ito talaga hindi ko gagalawin to. Pero may ako investment, may binili ako mutual fund, may ako ATRAM fund, may ganun ako, Soldivo, may ganun ako. Pero hindi ko alam saan ko gagamitin. Parang general lang. Pwedeng retirement, pwedeng hindi. Pwedeng pamatrikula ng anak ko, pwedeng whatever. So, marami akong mga ibang pwedeng gawan. So, yan. So, if you have some investments, pero hindi ka sure, generic ang letter B ka. Or letter C, bata pa ako. Hindi ko pa iniisip yung retirement na yan. 59 lang ako. Next year pa ako mag-retire. Next year ko na iisipin yan. Wow, di ba? Ikaw na. Okay, so letter A, letter B, or letter C. Alright? Now, let's try to put points. Let's try to assign numbers to your answers. Lahat po ng sagot yun na letter A, please allocate or assign 3 points for it. So, A, 3 points. B, 2 points. C, 1 point. So add nyo ngayon yan. 3 plus 1 plus 2, add nyo yan. Arithmetic lang yan. Madali yan. So, totalin nyo yan. Yan lang po yung math part ng aking test sa inyo. So, you add it all out. And then you add it, get the number, circlean nyo. Okay? So, ready na kayo? Nakuha nyo na yung number? So, ito na ngayon. So, let's now, the moment of truth. Let's try to interpret those numbers. Okay? So, pag ang sagot mo, 14 to 18, andun ka sa 14 to 18 points. Ibig sabihin nito, you don't belong to the majority. You are doing great. Oh, ikaw na ang galing mo, kapatid. Okay? Okay, so, kung ang sagot mo, okay lang, nandun ako sa 9 to 13, okay lang yan. There's a lot of room to grow. So, today's learning will help you sleep better at night. So, marami kayo, makinig po kayo sa mga ituturo natin ngayong umaga. It was gonna really, really help you. Pero ang sagot mo, dapat 8 pala, hindi 9. 8 and below, yan, medyo may problema tayo. I need to schedule a one-on-one session with Randell. After nito, Randell, kausapin mo na ako, tulungan mo na ako. Magpapa-counseling na ako sa iyo. Okay, joke lang yan, pero ibig sabihin yan yung situation. So, alright? So, the answer is there. And that's, I want to start. So, the question is, in your answers, kamusta naman? Diba? Ano ba yan? Is it, again, this is not a perfect way to do a financial assessment. Sa totoo lang, you know, when I do something, I have to put the numbers and everything. Pero, this is a good starter for you. Okay? Kung 14 to 18 ka, great. Pwede ka na umexit. Okay? Hindi mo na kailangan makinig dito. Congratulations. Pero 9 to 13 ka, makinig ka. Or maybe 14, 18, baka may ma-pick up ako, great. Pag 9 and below, okay, wag ko kayo mag-CCR, wag ko kayo aalis, wag ko kayo mag-open ng ibang tab, makinig po tayo. Alright? So that's something that I want to be able to talk to you about. Now, why is it difficult to manage our finances? Bakit ba difficult yan? Alam mo, sa totoo lang, nung pandemic, marami siya ating kinabahan. Pero sa totoo lang, pandemic lang, baka kinakabahan. Hindi ba kahit last year may mga problema na tayo sa finances? Or 2 years or 3 years ago? In fact, it's for some of us, our financial life, may pattern tayo. And if there's a picture that I use to describe the financial standing of a lot of us Filipinos, and myself included during my younger years, ito ginagamit ko. Roller coaster. Na ang buhay natin parang roller coaster. Minsan okay, minsan hindi. Last year, ang ganda ng trabaho, ang ganda ng negosyo, mataas ang roller coaster mo. No pandemic, bumaba tayo. Ngayon, aakyat na naman tayo. So, may ganun tayong situation. Now, minsan, pati yung stock market, ganyan din, di ba? Nakita niyo yung funds nyo, up, down, up, down. So, may ganyang situation tayo. Okay? So, for us, our finances are like that. Okay? Now, yung iba sa atin, baka yung love life nyo ganyan. Wala po tayong magagawa. Hindi ko po kaya. Hindi ko pa yung core competency. Wala po akong magagawa sa love life. Pero sa finances, baka pwede natin maayos. Kasi ang concept is, wag sana ganun. Sana may bump, pero hindi, medyo mas swabe naman. Hindi tayo gumaganon. Okay? Pagdating sa finances natin. Minsan up, minsan down. Pag bagong sahod, yay! Diba? Enjoy tayo. Samjup, milk tea. Tapos, Jolly G. Tapos, nakikain ka na lang. O, diba? Kape ako, branded, Starbucks, 7-Eleven, McDo, Jollibee. Yung Jollibee coffee, lasang kape, lasang lupa, and joke lang. Then pababa. And then finally, 3-in-1. Bandang huli, coffee ko na lang, di ba? Coffee ko and hot water. O may gano'n, no? So pwedeng gano'n sa itay ulit. So may pattern tayo. Now, financially, bakit po gano'n tayo? Why is it so many of us, medyo gano'n yung structure natin? Okay? Let me share a little bit. He's one of my favorite authors, and he has a radio program. He's a podcast guy. His name is Dave Ramsey. Okay? You know, a lot of people, Randall, favorite is Robert Kiyosaki. Actually, hindi ko type si Robert Kiyosaki. Ito gusto ko. Kasi very practical, very realistic yung mga tinuturo niya. Okay? And Dave Ramsey said, when it comes to money, it is 80% behavior and only 20% head knowledge. Sinabi niya yan 80% behavior and 20% head knowledge. One of the reasons why we have a lot of financial difficulty is not because of head knowledge. It's not because of skill. It is because of our behaviors. And these behaviors, I think in my last session with ATRAM, we talked about behaviors. And I just wanna reinforce this. And I'll be a little bit more practical for you. Why? Ang dami nating dadaanan. Ang dami nating kailangan paghandaan. Diba? We become established. Yeah. We work. We fall in love. We get married. We have children. Okay? Okay? Sa mga married, no? By the way, sa mga single po, ano? Kung single po kayo, okay, I have good news for you. Ano ba? God loves you. Anyway, so single, huwag niyo unahin yung children bago marriage, ha? Kasi magiging complicated ang buhay niyo, magastos yan. So, marriage, children, mag-aaral sila, you buy a house, major purchases, magka-travel ka, you ideally, you want to start preparing for retirement, magkukuleyo yung anak mo, tutulong ka sa magulang mo, ang dami mong dadaanan yan, and eventually, you will meet the Lord. So, pag nakita mo to, lahat itong points sa buhay natin, what is common here is all of the things that we need to prepare for, pandemic or no pandemic, is that life goes on. Diba? Yung nag-pandemic, di ba nagpatrikula pa rin tayo? Di ba lugi nga ako kasi, my boys are homeschooled for many, many years. And finally, I got them into a regular school. 1 year after, they're back in homeschool. Di ba parang, and yet nagbabayad ako ng tuition fee. So medyo lugi tayo dyan. Okay. So engagement. So sorry. Then mag-aaral sila. So diretso pa rin yan. Mabayad pa rin na kayo ng upa. Hindi ako magabayad ng tubig ngayon kasi pandemic, subukan mo. Diba? Hindi ka maputulan. So again, there are many, many, many things like this. Very important. We should not stop. That's why even during the pandemic, I was still saving, I was still investing. I was still creating ways to make more money. So all those things. So very, very important. And you see this. When you see this, it's very important for us. Now, ang common dito lahat to, merong requirement ng pera. Marami tayong paggagamitan ng mga kailangan. And lahat to importante. And the reason why a lot of people get into a debt because hindi nila napaghahandaan to. Kaya we need to be able to do financial planning. And that's what this session is all about. Kasi later on, pagtanda mo, marirealize mo kung tama o mali ang ginagawa mo sa finances. Tumanda ka, wala na akong pera. And well, yes, merong mga hindi mag-worry about pera pag matanda. Pero karamihan sa ating mga Pilipino, mamumblema tayo sa pagtanda natin. In fact, if I'm going to ask all of you, to be honest, who among you are supporting your parents financially? Nagbibigay, nag-aabot. Malamang marami sa inyo. Or maybe not now, pero alam nyo in the future, seeing how your parents are handling money, alam mo, nag-ready ka na for that. Meron akong friend, nakahanda na siya, meron na siyang pondo para sa pagtulong sa magulang niya. Kasi alam niya, yung magulang niya hindi nakapag-prepare. Okay, so may ganun. So, marami sa atin yan na ganyan yung situation. Now, hindi po madali. Sa totoo lang madali ba magbigay ng pera sa magulang on a regular basis? Hindi din. Challenging din yan. Kasi minsan kapos din tayo eh. Napansin niyo mga magulang niyo, pag tumatanda, gumagaling sa emotional manipulation. Di ba? Nak, padala ka naman. Ay, naku nay, bibit ako. Naku naman, anak. Di ba? Dami-daming drama, daming hugot. Okay, so tumutulong ka sa mga magulang mo, congratulations. Mahirap yung ginagawa mo. Doon sa mga hindi tumutulong sa magulang, ano tawag sa kanila? Mga walang kwentang anak. Oy, joke lang. Baka hindi naman kailangan. Sorry, joke lang Okay, so yan. Yun yung mga situation. So darating tayo dyan. Are we ready? Unfortunately, many Filipinos are not ready. I believe this, no? In life, I can either be a blessing to my children or I can be a burden to them. Personally, I have chosen that. I chose that ayoko maging burden. Ayoko darating sa panahon na aasa ako sa mga anak ko. Now I'm getting there. I'm halfway through. If you're asking, no, I'm kind of old. I'm already in my 50s. Okay, I have 2 married children. And in April, I'll be a lolo. So, bagets na lolo. No? Joke lang. Pero magiging lolo na ako. So, may new season na akong ginagawa. Pinaprepare sa kanila. Looking forward na ako, no, spending time with my apo and apos to come. Sabi ko, dadaling ko sa abroad yan. Hindi kasama ang parents. Kami lang ng wife ko at saka yung apo namin. May ganun akong plano. Because I want to be a blessing to them. I don't want to be a point na I'm going to ask money from my children. I don't want that. In fact, I want to continue to be a blessing to them. Okay? Yung mga anak ko nag-asawa na. Kakasal lang naman nila. 6 months apart of each other. During the lockdown, may 2 akong pinakasal na anak. Okay? Matanda na sila. 29 tsaka 26. 27. Hindi naman sila bata. So, nag-asawa na sila. And weekly, dadalaw yan. Grabe pag dumalaw yung mga anak ko. Parang nag-grocery. Bubuksan ang pantry. I like this. Daddy, can I have? Daddy, can I have? Daddy, pag-uwi may mga bag. Sabi ko, may mga asawa na kayo. Okay. Hindi pala ako nakakatipid. Okay. So, minsan yung nakakatawa, no? So, share ko lang. So, ang sarap kasi na feeling pag medyo handa ka eh. May text yung anak ko, Dad, puta ako dyan. Sabi niya, I'm in the grocery. Sabi niya, oh, sige, Dad. Dad, can you buy me this? So may listahan na kasi bibiling ko naman. Wala, hindi na ako babayaran no, lambing ko na. Sabi ko, pambihira, may asawa na kayo, may bilin pa rin kayo, no? So that's fun. Now, because the way I handle finances, I can do that. And ang plano ko, hanggang matanda na ako, sana ganyan pa rin. Maybe hindi na siguro ganun ka bongga yung mga hiningi na. Pero alam nila yan, my kids do that. So sana ganun tayo mga Pilipino. Alam mo ba, hindi po normal na hingi tayo ng pera sa anak natin. In fact, the Bible, the Word of God, kind of encourages sana hindi tayo ganun. In fact, tingnan niyo to ha. Sa Biblia, sa Bible, it says here, 2 Corinthians 12:14, it says that for children are not obligated to save up for their parents, but parents for their children. So yung design para sa atin, hindi para humingi tayo ng pera sa anak natin, tayo magbibigay. And that is in the will of the Lord. Kaya nga nasa Bible eh. Yan ang gusto ni Lord sa atin. Dapat ikaw magbigay sa mga anak mo. Hindi ka hihingi sa anak mo. Okay na, huwag kayong pilosopo ha. Baka mamaya, nako, may pinicturean niya to tapos, Nay, nak, padala ka naman ng ng pera sa amin. Ako, Nay, hindi na ako magpapadala ngayon. Bakit naman anak? Nay, sabi sa Bible, for children are not obligated to save up for their parents, but parents for the children. Huwag po ganun. Kasi hindi na ho para sa kanila yon, wala na ho tayong magagawa doon. Itong scripture na to, ito para sa iyo. Sa iyong nakikinig ngayon, make sure that you prepare for the future because you should not be an obligation of your children, but you giving to them. That's the design. In fact, sundutin ko to ha. In Proverbs 13:22, it says here that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. Ang ganda, no? So, good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So, dapat pala, tayo, hindi lang tayo humihingi ng pera sa mga anak natin. Eventually, tayo pa yung magpapamana sa kanila. Parang yung kwento, hindi naman uy, condolence, namatay na pala nanay mo. May namana ka sa tatay mo. Okay, namatay na pala tatay mo. May namana ka sa tatay mo. Sorry, morbid. Meron. Ano naman ang sa tatay mo? Diabetes. O, di ba? Ano naman? Diabetes, di ba? Sakit ng o kaya utang. Babayad pa utang ng magulang ko. So, sana hindi tayo ganun. So, let's do it. And financial planning, the way we're doing it. Thank you, ATRAM, for hosting this. We need to do this. All of you. Ilan na ba tayo dito nanonood? All of you. Wow, 262. All of you, 262. Sana lahat tayo maging blessing para sa mga loved ones natin. Okay? That is according to God's will for us. And that's the right thing to do. So, ano solution natin? Dito na solution. So, ano dapat natin gawin? Dapat natin magbago. Okay? Ito yung aking ito yung aking vision. My vision is I want to see evolution in the lives of many Filipinos. Talaga, gusto ko. Gusto ko magbago tayo. Gusto ko sana, ito yung pangarap ko kay gigising ko. Kaya kahit ngayon, di ba? Randell, pwede ka sige. Di ba? Okay? Kahit walang bayad, tuturo tayo. Okay? Wala na nga bayad, namigay pa ako ng libro. Bakit? Kasi ito yung aking adhikain eh. Okay? Advocacy. Okay? This is something I like to do. This is what I want to wake up for. I want to see people changing. So, do follow me. I have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Maraming ganyan. So, I want people to move from being spenders. Doon tayo eh. Kita mo, wala akong pera, pandemic, blah, 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 blah. Galit na galit ka. Pero nung 11:11, di ba? 11:59, nakaabang ka na. Para naka-add to cart mo, check out na agad. Pag 12 o'clock kasi baka maunahan ka. I mean, crazy. Crazy, crazy. So we're spending. There's nothing wrong with spending as long as you're saving. Sabi ko nga, continue to spend as long as you're continuously saving and investing. So ang gusto ko makita, mag-evolve tayo mga Pilipino from being spenders, sana maging savers tayo. And ultimately, dahil savers na tayo, sana maging investors na tayo or entrepreneurs, depending on ang field mo. So spenders to savers to investors. That is the goal. That is why we're doing things like this. Okay? So I hope you will learn something from me this morning. I wrote a book called The No-Nonsense Personal Finance in 2013. Sold about 60,000 copies of this book. Out of print pa nga siya ngayon. So maybe next year I'm gonna reproduce again. Wherein I outline for you to be able to build your wealth, dapat ganito, no? So, improve your cash flow, get out of debt, set up your emergency funds, understand insurances, and then invest for the future. May proseso to. Dadaanan natin to. And I want to be able to guide you towards this. Improve cash flow, get yourself out of debt, and stuff and so on. And let's talk about this briefly. I don't have the all time. So, this is unfortunately, I don't have copies of this book because they're all sold out, but they're now available in Kindle. So, kung may e-book ka, it's available in Kindle. Okay? Pero, yung bago kong libro, It's the updated version of that book. So if you're one of those fortunate enough to win, okay, basta engage me later on and you will win. So first and foremost, and the most important, if you can, sa dami ng sasabihin ko ngayon, ang daldal ko, no, ito yung huwag nyo kakalimutan. Begin to handle money well. Wala kang i-invest kung wala kang perang naiipon. So handling money well happens when you increase your cash flow. You do that by learning how to make more money, investing in yourself, in your capacities, and then also budgeting and spending less money. So that is the magic formula. Madali sabihin, mahirap gawin. Now, let's start. How do you continuously earn? Ito, sana wag natin makalimutan na. Sana hindi mawala yung grit sa buhay natin. Ano yung grit? Alam mo, hindi mo gusto lahat ng ginagawa mo all the time. Minsan, gigising ka. Sa totoo lang ha, araw-araw ba gusto mo ginagawa mo? Hindi. May mga days na ayaw mo ginagawa mo. Pero you still do it. Why do you do it? Because may grit ka. Like me, I wrote 5 books. I've written over 1,000 articles, blogs, columns. I've done a lot. And I don't even like to write, ha? And that's the funny part. I actually won awards. Pero I don't like to write. Di ba? Pero grit kasi. I keep on doing what I want to do. I don't like to do videos and speaking engagements. I don't. If you look at me, I like a simple life. Pero I do it eh. Why do I do it? That's grit that allows me to do things even if I don't like to do it. Sometimes I love what I'm doing, but not all the time. Writing, I don't like. It's such an effort for me, but I still do it. Grit allows me to do that. Okay? Now, grit also, and the other side is building competencies. Are you investing in yourself? Nagbabasa ka ba? Nag-aaral ka ba? Are you learning new skills? During pandemic, meron ka bang... May nakapakinabangan ka ba sa pandemic na nasa work from home tayo or naka-lockdown tayo? Sana meron. Ako, I learned how to navigate more videos. I learned how to, those things. I learned how to use technology better and maybe new skills. I became a better barista, okay, during the lockdown. And better cook. Okay? And hopefully I can make money out of it. So December may project ako, no? Parang, I have a niece who's known for food called feature called Purple Walk. Sabi niya, Tito, you cook well. Maybe I can feature you. So maybe in December, yung aking lockdown skills of cooking na-improve ko. I do cook. I've been cooking for a long time. Pero during the lockdown, syempre araw-araw, di ba, yung skills ko na-enhance. So by December, I'm gonna feature Randell Tiongson for Purple Walk. Pero food, no? Di ba? Parang kakaiba. At least mapakinabangan ko, di ba? So again, I can make money on certain things. Di ba? I used to write for training and stuff because of my work. Now, I can sell books out of it. I used to speak because I was training head. But now, I make money out of earning. Alam mo ba, guys? Almost every time I open my mouth, I earn. Galing, no? Because I learned how to invest myself. Except this morning, wala pong bayad to. Okay, love ko lang po yung mga taga-ATRAM para ho i-manage nila na maayos yung investments ko. Kaya magkutok ako. Joke lang. Okay? So, di ba? I mean, this is really, really important. It helps. So, invest in yourself. How do you do that? Because if you continuously invest yourself, your income will go up. Pero at the same time, hindi lang about income ang issue. It's about handling money also. The discipline side, the fiscal discipline. When you want to be able to have a healthy cash flow. Healthy cash flows happen when the inflow of cash is greater than its outflow. So to track yan, that's why I ask you, nagbabudget ba kayo? You must be able to do that properly. Discipline. And I recommend the 70-30 principle. Ano to? Whenever I earn, I only spend up to 70% of my income. 30%, I learn how to save, to invest. If you believe in tithing like I do, I tithe. 30% ko sa 30% ko kinukuha. If you constantly do this over the many, many years of your life, kahit na hindi ka fantastic, kahit hindi ka na masyadong magaling mag-invest, funds ka lang, or minsan di pa nga, savings lang, okay yan, you will build wealth. Okay? If you're patient. In fact, yung mga manilikot ka sa pag-i-invest, yung nga hindi kumikita. Okay? Pero steadfastness is very important. Malakas ka nga kumita, lakas mo naman gumastos. Galing mo nga mag-trade ng stocks, pero lakas mo naman gumastos, bali wala. Kaya maraming stockbroker broke, diba? Oy, joke lang. Sorry, ATRAM. So 70-30, diba? 70-30, very important. 70%, 30%. Now, madali sabihin, mahirap gawin. Bakit? Kasi ang daming temptations. Diba? Ang sarap gumastos eh. Sarap ng, diba? Finally, ma-afford ko na yung mahal kong bag, mga ganyan, or mahal kong gamit. I spend so much. Now, there's nothing wrong with spending on these things. Pero just make sure that you're still saving and you're still investing. If you, meron lang ako, no, uh, indulge selectively as long as you're saving and investing regularly. So ako din naman, bibili naman ako ng gamit eh. Pero medyo tina-timing ko yan. Okay? Yung kaibigan ko, di ba? Meron siyang sa Dubai siya, no? 30 po yung Jordan niya. So, nakita tao, 30 ang Jordan. Di ba? Kasi hindi lang babae maggastos, lalaki din, no? 30%, 30 pairs of Jordan. Grabe, daming Jordan. Galing, ano? Naiingitan ng mga tao sa kanya. Oy, galing mo, dami makakaigit ka naman. Sana all. But what's the problem? He has no savings and sagad na credit card niya, may utang pa siya sa personal loans niya. Sabi ko, bro, 30 ang Jordan mo. Wala kang ipon, may utang ka pa. And worse, hanggang ngayon, 30 na Jordan mo, hindi ka pa rin magaling mag-basketball. Okay. So, parang hindi pa rin nakakagaling ng laro ang magandang sapatos. Sabi niyo, di naman pang basketball yan eh. Pang mall yan. Okay. Anyway, so that's the story. Or it can be anything. So, telepono, gadget, diba? Or the little things that you keep on spending on. So, when the trick there is to know whether it's a need or a want. Pag need, go ahead. To a certain degree, yes. Pero pag want, pag-isipan mo. So, need and want is very important and it's very crucial and fundamental. Diba? Alam mo, itong pandemic, natuto tayo ng need and want eh. What was the big word that was thrown out during the pandemic was the word essential. So finally, Filipinos are understanding what essential means. And in expenses, we know what is essential. Pero ngayon, that we're slowly losing it up again. Bumabalik na naman yung non-essential. So again, not saying not to do that, but be careful lang. So in your budget, allocate money for this and all these things. So, yan. So, tip ko sa inyo, okay, huwag excessive. Don't go broke trying to look rich. Alam ko kasi, di ba ngayon na nag-open up tayo, alam mo yung bottled up emotion. Ako, ngayon, gusto ko na naglalambing yung mga anak ko eh. Sabi niya, Dad, that's, we've been cooped up for so long. So, ngayon, pati sila, pati mga son-in-law ko, no? O sige. Kasi usually every year, I sponsor a trip for the family. Wala yan eh. Wala yan. I think 2020, we went in January somewhere. Buti, bago nag-lockdown. 2021, out na yan. Sabi ko, I'm not gonna expose, diba? Kahit nga work, ayoko eh. Pero we want to be able to do that. But we want to also do our shit. So, nag-ano kami, diba? Naghanap kami, sige, let's try. Maybe let's go to a house na may beach access, na may pool access, and na-safe na tayo lang. So, yun ang ginawa ko. So, we were trying to look, Airbnb, everything. Wow! Wala kami makuha booking. Puno lahat. Yung booking na nakuha ko, January na. Okay? January, kasi naglalambing yung mga anak. Okay? January na. Na-realize, nasabi yung mga tao, everybody wants to go out of town. And by the way, mahal yung mga bahay. Kasi usually, bahay na kukunin mo para safe ka. No? Ang mamahal, hindi siya mura. Now, I understand. I guess some of them really can afford it. But for those na naglalabas ng pera, baka kasi masyadong nasabik. So, while that we're opening up, dahan-dahan lang, hinay-hinay lang. Kasi baka mabroke ka. So, don't go broke trying to look rich. Easy lang. Lifestyle, bantayan niya yan. I always tell people, if you can't control your money, making more won't help. How you manage it. That's why I started with savings and budgeting. If you know how to handle that, pandemic or no pandemic, then you're going to be okay. Those people who are really, really successful, ang ganda ng mga disciplines nila sa katawan nila. That was my problem. Hindi po ako nagmamalinis. In my 20s, in my 30s, I wasn't very good in handling money. So medyo late comer ako. Kaya when I was writing my books, bittersweet siya. But I learned how to control that. You know, the formula to do that, I still spend. Pero meron akong formula of saving. I need to regularly save. Okay, as much as fast as I can. So, example, may cash flow tayo. O yan, net income mo, 25,000. Maybe some of you, mas malaki income. Meron kang fixed expenses or need, meron kang wants or discretionary. Non-discretionary or discretionary, fixed, and variable. So, these are expenses. I just typed it that way. Bakit ko pinahihiwalay ito? Para marunong ka mag-adjust. So, totally mo to, at the end of the day, at the end of the cash flow, pag negative ka, Delikado yan, magiging insolvent ka, magkakautang ka, mababaw ka sa utang. So you want to be able to at least zero it out. First, the first step is stop the bleeding. So you have to go back to your cash flow. Titingnan mo, ano dito ang pwede kong baguhin? Siyempre, huwag kayo titingin dun sa taas. Huwag kayo titingin dito. Dito muna. Ano pwede ko i-cut? Hindi naman pwede sabihin, mga anak, nagtitipid na si tatay ngayon. Once a day na lang kayo kakain. Tuturuan ko kayo ng intermittent fasting. Pwede ba yun? Yung anak mo 4 years old, intermittent fasting. Di ba? Sa akin dapat yun. But sa kanila, di ba? So, hindi ka pwede doon tumingin. Dito ka titingin. So, dito ka magkakat. Pag medyo sagad na to, then you take a look at that. Now, sabi ng lola ko, very, very helpful. Maraming Pilipino, di na maalala to. No? Pero very, very helpful sa atin. Saliwikain to eh. You know what saliwikain is? No? Ano ba English nun? Anyway, proverb? I don't know. So, kapag makitid ang kumot, matutong mamaluktot. Okay? Kapag makitid ang kumot, matutong mamaluktot. So, learn how to adjust belt tightening, austerity measures. My mom, I always hear that growing up, austerity. Alam mo, bata pa ako, alam ko na yung word na austerity. Kasi mami ko, always control eh. Growing up, akala ko nga mahirap kami eh. Yung pala hindi. You know, the reason why my parents were able to build something, no, was because my mom practiced austerity measures. Never excessive. The downside is when we start to work, feeling namin masyado kami nagipit. So we spent a lot. We made a lot of mistakes. So meron lang tamang way of doing it. So yung mga anak ko, I don't want them to feel so restricted. Pero I don't want them to feel na, you know, everything that they want, they can get. Entitlement yon. So it's a right balance. So sabi ng lola ko, kapag makitid ang kumot, matutong mamuloktot. My mom, I always hear this from my mom, my late mom. Pero minsan, hindi talaga kasya. Bakit? Eh baka sobrang liit ng kumot eh. Alam mo yung kumot mo parang ano na, parang bimpo na, parang handtowel na. Hindi, sa liit, baka kailangan matuto kang mag-earn ng extra income. Or what the millennials call it, side hustle. Nung panahon namin, lalo mga yan, sila Andrew, kaibigan ko sa ATRAM, hindi side hustle tawag namin dyan, racket. Parang nung panahon namin, mas pangit pa nga, rumaraket ka, ngayon sumaside hustle ako. Pero basically, wala pong masama yan. If you can find a way to create income. Like ako, my main income is speaking, writing, training, and stuff like that. O December, baka I want to get into selling food. Side hustle sa akin yun. I still want to do it. When I was an employee, I was in the corporate world for many years. May racket ako, sumasideline ako. Okay, so very important yan. Learn how to do it. Because prosperity will always start with savings. Kung hindi mo kaya mag-generate ng excess na yan, wala po tayo. Kahit na sobrang, ATRAM is one of the best fund managers that I know of. Pero kung ilalagay mo sa ATRAM fund mo, 1,000 lang, eh, kahit ba kumita ng 20% yan, yung 1,000 mo magiging 1,200 lang. So, ang key dito is, you have enough money to save. Kaya maraming tao nasa scam, naloloko. Kasi yung ipo nila nakatiting, gusto nila palaguin ng malaki. And now they will make bad decisions about their finances or their investments. So, pag malaking pera mo, medyo mas safe ka. Okay? Hindi ka basta-basta pumapasok sa investment. So, it starts by your ability to save. Okay? Bakit ba si Palito ginamit ko dito? Ano story ni Palito? He's such a definitive actor. Yung trabaho ni Palito, si Palito wala nga competitor yan eh. So, lahat ng role na bagay sa kanya pupunta. Bangkay, zombie, such a great actor. Pero like him and many, many others, ano nangyari sa kanila? Wala silang pera pag tumanda. Allen Iverson, great basketball NBA player. He was so broke. Sabi nga niya nung divorce proceeding niya, I'm so broke, I can't even afford a burger. Paglabas siya, sabi ng ex-wife niya, here's $100, buy yourself a burger. Why? Because there's a faithfulness in handling the finances. Luke 16:10 reminds us, whoever can be trusted with very little can be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. Ganda, no? Ganda no sinabi. So, if you are faithful, yung sahod mo na maliit, magawa mo yan. Diba? Sahod mo yan na maliit. Sorry. How you handle your 10,000 salary will be the way you handle your 50,000 salary, will be the way you handle your 100,000 salary. Kung sa 10,000 salary mo, nakakaipon ka, mas makakaipon ka sa 50 at mas makakaipon ka sa 100. Yung 10,000 salary mo, gipit ka, baka mamaya 30 na yan, 40 na, 50 na yan, gipit ka pa rin. Nadadala mo yung patterns mo. Okay? Of course, hindi naman lahat. Pero be careful lang. Just be faithful in the little things. A student who mismanages his allowance will be a worker who will mismanage his wages. So you carry on the pattern. So be very, very careful. Avoid bad decisions. Diba? Avoid bad decisions. I got this, no? Diba sabi dito, we buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't even like. That's not my original. That's why I quoted. We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like. Kaya nagkakautang eh. Kaya nagkakaproblema, pinipilit. So check your lifestyles also. Alright? So that's why you resist or minimize your debt. If you don't know how to handle money, then you'll have a problem with debt. Okay? So my formula, get out of debt. You do that by paying off your old debt or avoid your new debt. Mahirap ang pakiramdam ng maraming utang. Hindi po ako nagmamalinis. In my younger years, I was embroiled with credit card debt. Baka magulat kayo, 1.6 million pesos on debt. Of course, I paid that. Pero nag-struggle ako. So, one night, I just realized I can't live a life like this. I don't want this to be a legacy to my children. So, I began consciously paying off my old debt and avoid my new debt. Okay? So, be careful on how to use debt. Credit card, personal loan, dami niyan, di ba? I always get offers of, because I deposit here, they want me to do this. So, just be careful. Don't buy things you don't really need to impress people you don't like with money you don't have. Okay? Learn good and bad. Sometimes not all debt is bad. You're mortgaging for your property, your home. Okay yan. And eventually, di ba, as long as, kaya mo bayaran yung payments, okay yan. Eventually, yung asset na magiging asset din yan. Tataas din ang value niyan. Pero, you buy bagong TV. Kailangan na ba talaga? Naku, Randell, di mo ka naiintindihan. Lalabas na yung bagong episode ng startup. Kailangan ko na mapanood. Hindi sila ganun kapogi sa TV ko. Okay lang yan. Retoke naman yung mga mukha nila eh. Okay? Joke lang ha. Nagalit na naman misis ko pa na-say that eh. Yung misis ko sobrang K-drama fan. Pag may negative comment ako, napipikon siya. May parang ganun sa inyo. Okay, joke lang. But so be careful on how to use it. Now, how did I get out of debt? In my books, I hear, yung sa mananalo, meron ditong chapter about debt. Asan ba yun? Okay. Meron ako mga ways, samples on, mga ganyan. So, panay-promote, no? Hindi naman ako nagbebenta, namimigay nga ako eh. So, sabi ko, you wanna be able to build on this thing. So, ang ginawa ko, I tried to pay off my debt. Hindi ko mabayaran lahat kasi na-overwhelm ako. Nakakapagod. In my first book, I quoted, you can experience debt payment fatigue. Sa totoo lang ha, di ba nakakapagod magbayad ng utang? So you want to get out of it as soon as you can. Ang problema na iba, humihinto. So what I did, niline up ko lahat ng utang ko, okay, smallest to biggest, I focused on paying the smallest one first. Ito, smallest one. Dahil maliit yan, nabayaran ko. Then I move on to the next one. And then the next one. And then the next one. And then pretty much, I was paying off all my debt already. Sarap ng pakiramdam. I remember the day I paid my last debt. I was in Ortigas Center. Paglabas ko, gusto ko sumigaw ng freedom. Hindi ko magawa eh. Baka damputin ako. Anyway, so I was shouting inside. Kasi ang hirap ng may utang. Kaya nga, the Bible warns us, in fact, all the time, the Bible warns us about that. Proverbs 22:7 says, the rich rule over the poor, but the borrower is a slave to the lender. Kaya ang negative, ang bigat-bigat ng pakiramdam pag marami utang. May kilala ka, happy siya, marami siyang utang. Diba? Baliktad. Pero may kilala ka na nakabayad ng utang, sarap na sarap sa feeling niya. Mas marami kasi, gina-justify, lahat ng tao may utang. Hindi po lahat ng tao may utang. Okay, wag mo i-justify yung mali. Okay? Because I believe debt-free is the new status symbol. I mentored some people and I saw them getting out of debt. And some of them got out of debt during the pandemic. And iba yung pakiramdam nila. They learned so much. So be careful. Be careful about these things. All right? Next is to build your emergency funds. If there's one thing that the pandemic taught us is emergency funds. Randell, naubos ko yung pera ko nung pandemic. Okay lang yan. Build ka again. Kung naka-build ka ng emergency funds before, makaka-build ka uli ngayon. Baka kailangan mo na dagdagan. So you have the muscle. It's a muscle eh. All this financial stuff that I'm talking about, it's a muscle that you need to build. So build emergency funds. If you have 3 months worth of savings in tucked away in maybe a time deposit or maybe a money market or saving, then you're good. Pandemic nga, we realize pakakulang yung 3 months eh. Pero doon natututo ka naman magtipid. 3 months is good, 4 months is better, 5 months is great, and 6 months is excellent. Now, kung talaga praning ka, o mo 1 year, kung kaya mo. Basta you build this. And it's always best to do it in baby steps. Anything that I told you, cutting costs, earning more, saving more, practice baby steps. Baby steps will lead you to big dreams. Baka hindi mo kaya na 3 months kagad, o 1 week muna worth, then 2 weeks, then 3 weeks. You build out there. Lalabas na yung bonus, 13-month pay. O baka maybe i-allocate mo 30% pang emergency funds. Huwag mo ubusin lahat. Kasi minsan nagigipit na ano yung mga tao, natatarantay, may bonus na, yan na. You know, one time I did a seminar. And usually I get hired by companies to do seminars. So I did a talk, and usually, pag may bonus, they ask me to do a talk. But merong time, baliktad, because of schedule problems. My seminar happened after the bonus was released, 3 days after. Pero sabi ko, 3 days pa lang naman eh. So meron pa yan. So sabi ko, pasok ko sa crowd, pabibo pa ako. Mga kapatid, expecting ko masaya sila. Kamusta na ang bonus nyo? May sumagot, ay sir, isa na siyang alaala. 3 baro pa lang alaala na yung bonus mo. Ay bahagi na ho siya na aking mapait na kahapon. May ganun, puro hugot. Bakit? Tayo mga Pilipino, hugot natin puro damdamin eh. Walang mahugot sa wallet eh. So again, be careful. So build your dream by baby steps. Then understanding insurances. Hindi po ako nagbebenta ng insurance, pero importante po yan. Protect yourself from life risks. Dapat meron kang saving, may life insurance, may health insurance, and may non-life ka. Kung may assets ka na, very important. Protect yourself from these things. Diba? Savings will give you liquidity, very important. Investments maximize your income. Okay? Diba? You can use ATRAM products. I love ATRAM products. And then insurance. Protect your future income also. So all of these things you need. Okay? So budgetan mo. Create ways for you to be able to do that. And then you can now invest. ATRAM has a lot of programs on investing here. You can watch them. Ako, I'll be more basic kasi hindi naman ako nosebleed. So I want to be able to share with you a little bit of the basics. Ang problema na marami tao, hindi nag-i-invest. Bakit? Itong gusto nila solusyon sa buhay nila eh. Beg, steal, borrow. Hindi na ako mag-i-invest. I'll just beg, I'll steal, and borrow. Yan yung kailangan natin baguhin eh. Hihingi, magnanakaw, utang para mabayaran yung mga pangailangan niya. Ang namang solusyon, ito, invest early, do it wisely, and do it regularly. Alam mo, honestly, hindi mo naman kailangan timing the market eh. Basta regularity ka lang. O bumagsak yung market, regular pa din. Di ba? Nung pagbagsak pandemic, naguhulog pa din naman ako. Naglalagay pa din naman ako eh. Baka mas dinagdagan ko pa eh. Kasi regularity is works for me. Hindi naman ako yung type na investor na talagang maalam sa lahat ng bagay. Tatawagan ko nga yung mga tao dyan sa ATRAM. Okay ba? Okay? So very important. So you need to be able to, but if you do it on a regular basis, may programa ka sa katawan mo. Okay? Kaya ako, I'm a big fan of cost averaging. A lot of people don't agree with me. Okay lang yun. Kasi money not invested is money spent. Diba? Nawala na yan, na Lazada yan, na Shopee na yan, na Zalora na yan. Hindi mo na mababalik yan. Yung investment na lugi, di ba? Yung lugi natin ng pandemic, halos nakabalik na tayo. May ganun talaga. Okay? Ang investment, pag nalugi, nag-recover. Ang shopping, pag naubos, hindi na maibabalik. Ang meron ka na lang alaala or Instagram likes. Maraming Instagram moments. Huwag naman sana yung wealth mo on likes and shares. So, but you're ready to build, to invest, and ATRAM has a lot of resources and videos. Do check them out. Okay. Ako, personally, I'm a client. I'm a user. So, di ba? Kahit, dahil nga nasa database ako, minsan, may seminar featuring Randell Tiongson. Ako din yung pinadala nyo ng Kasi, client ako. But before you start investing, ito lang some foundations for you. Stop, ready, and go. Remember that in a volatile, unpredictable, global and local environment, the best strategy for investment and planning is to go back to the foundations. Diba? Hindi pa ulit-ulit namin sinasabi. Bagsak ang market, okay lang yan. Think long term. Diba? Know your objectives. What are you investing for? Para saan ba yan? Retirement? Okay. Lista mo. Mag-aasawa ako? Okay. Wedding fund? Okay, lista mo. Hopefully, may pandaon may bitong ba? Okay. Gawa mo objective. Papamatrikula ako ng anak ko, 2 years old, 3 years old, lagyan mo objective. You must know because the objectives will determine how you're supposed to invest properly. In fact, your objectives should determine the kind of investments that you make. Kasi kung alam mo na objective, alam mo na rin ang time frame yan. May time ka ba to make that money work? Or wala ka ng time? Diba? Classic case, Mr. Tiongson, napanood ko kayo sa TV. Can you do a retirement program for me? Oh, yes, sir, that's what I do. I'll help you. Pero sir, before I do that, I need to ask you a few questions. Ano yun, Randell? So first tanong ko sa inyo, kailan ho kayo mag-retire? Randell, mag-retire na ako in 3 years. Naku, 3 years? Ngayon mo lang ako tinawagan. Ano sir, maiksi ho yung 3 years. May tanong ko lang ho, ano na ho ba na ipundar nyo? Ano na ho ba nagawa nyo? What have you done so far? Ay nga problema, Randell wala pa ako nagagawa. Naku po, 3 months na, 3 years to go na lang, wala ka pa nagagawa. So sabi niya, Mr. Tiongson, what can you do for me? Abay, para may sagot lang, sir, I can pray for you. Kailangan natin ng oras, kailangan natin ng real, prayer works. Pero kailangan natin ng realistic. So again, you need time. You need time to work things out. Like, if you see what happened today, later on, it's gonna be a blip lang on your charts. So very important time. Then, yung risk mo. Hindi lahat ng tao pare-pareho. Maraming tao, papasok sa investment, hindi nila kaya. Kasi hindi pala mataas ang risk tolerance nila. Okay? Like anything with an equity, mataas ang risk niyan. Pero kikita ka ng malaki, totoo. Pero mataas ang risk niyan. Kaya mo ba yan? Kung hindi mo kaya yan, pumili ka na iba. So adjust mo yan according to you. Now, let me share a little bit, no? Kasi sa risk, kadalasan na rin nyo, tolerance. Hindi lang po tolerance ang kinukonsider natin pag nag-i-invest tayo. Tolerance is your preference, sa psychological in nature. Pero meron ka ding requirement. Nakita niyo itong orange, requirement to. This is the risk that you need to take. Example, matrikula ko ng anak ko. Magpapagagawa ko ng, I'm not a big fan of educational plans. Yung lalo yung mga pre-need. So I'd rather put it in a mutual fund, a UITF, or maybe selected stocks. I would rather that. So, now alam mo na ang tuition, umaakyat yan by 6, 7, 8%. Dati 10, 10, 11. Noong panahon ng mga anak ko, mga 10%. Ngayon mas mababa na. Pero mataas pa din. Because tuition escalation or inflation of tuition is higher than regular inflation. As to why, I don't understand. Pero yan ang case. So, alam mo na ang pagtaas ng tuition na sa 7%, definitely, yung iniipon mo, hindi pwede kumita ng 5%. Kasi yung risk, ayoko ng 4%, 5% lang ako. Okay? Hindi. Bagay time ng pera mo, yung naipon mo, kulang. So, may requirement ka na. So, kung 7% yung kinikita yung pagtaas ng matrikula, dapat nasa 9% po yung target mong yield. Kung gano'n na, you have to take in more risk. Or retirement. Malaking pera kailangan nyo sa retirement, as in malaki. 20, 30, 50 million. Kung magkano lang hinuhulog mo, kailangan mo adjust yung risk mo para maabot mo yan. So, may requirement ka na. Now, aside from your requirement, may capacity ka na. Ito, capacity. Okay? Yung pera ba, pag nilagay mo ba, baka naman mamaya, emergency funds ba, kailangan mo yung pera. Dito ng pandemic, yung lahat ng ininvest ko pera, wala naman ako binenta Bakit? Kasi I have a capacity to put that money in. And I can afford. Mali naman yun, pag nilagay mo yan, willing ka ba palugi? Hindi, actually, mali po yun, di ba? Pero willing ako mag-intay. So may capacity ako. So when do you make that decision? Where your tolerance, your requirement, and your capacity meets dito sa gitna. That's where you make that decision. Okay? And hopefully, you picked up something from today's morning session. That's why walang perfect investment, kaya dinadiversify natin yan. Huwag mo lahat ng pera, lagay mo may kausap ako, 98% ng pera niya nasa equities. A few years ago, sabi ko, bawasan natin bro. Alam ko, bata ka pa. So, pwede ba baka 40%, 50%, maybe 60%. Lipat natin sa iba. Di ba? So, nung bumagsak yung market, happy siya. Natuwa naman siya sa akin. Or, iba naman, masyado ka naman conservative. Hindi ka naman, you will miss out on opportunities also. So, learn how to diversify. Okay? Do not put all your eggs in one basket. If you put your eggs in one basket, what do you get? Omelette, scrambled eggs. So, distribute mo yan properly. Combine high risk asset with low risk assets. Okay? So, meron kang may money market ka, yun ang pero meron akong equity fund. Okay? Yung favorite fund ko ATRAM Alpha Opportunity. At saka meron pa kayo sa favorite yan, Tech Fund. Personal ko yan ha. O, hindi po endorsement yun. Hindi po kami binabayaran ng ATRAM para mag-endorse nun. But I'm just being open. I love those. Pero higher risk yun. So meron din naman akong bonds, di ba? Bond fund. O, Soldivo bond fund. These are good investments. They are lower risks. So you combine them. Then you also combine your high liquid assets with low liquid assets. High liquid assets, allow your money, parang pag kailangan ko pera, pwede yan. Or meron pa akong investa, nililipat ko, pwede yan. Kung liquid ka. Now, may mga low liquid assets na maganda naman. Property, for instance, is low liquid. Pero ang hirap niyan i-ibenta. Minsan buwan, minsan taon bago mabenta. O kung may pera ka pa makukuhaan, huwag ka magmamadali. Ang property, pag nagmadali ka, madulugi ka eh. O yung stocks mo, binenta mo biglang nag-recover afterwards. So, hindi siya liquid. Okay, so combine liquid with low liquid assets. So this is my short chart. Okay, so investment plan, alam ko yung goal ko, alam ko yung risk ko, ano yung funding strategy ko. Kung yung pera mo, di ba, meron kang 20 million ngayon, baka hindi ko re-recommend na isang lagay yan. Baka in tranches yan. Pero yung pera mo, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 a month. Maghintay ka ba ng timing doon? Pinakamaganda doon, cost averaging, regularity. So the funding also determine the kind of strategy that you have. Na anong options mo? Bibili ka ba ng stocks individually? Kaya mo mag-aral ng technical and fundamentals? Wala akong oras di magka-fund lang ako. Like ako I have funds and I have stocks. Pero mas marami akong funds. Bakit? Sa totoo lang dahil kaibigan ko yung sila Philip tsaka sila June. Hello, they are like 100 times better than me when it comes to these things. So I'd rather trust them with my money. Pero ako din naman, meron din naman ako on my own. Okay din naman yung return. Pero siguro maybe in a straight 5-10 years, they would 10, maybe more, they would definitely outperform me. Kasi I'm also my greatest enemy. So, yan. Or gusto mo ba yung meron kasamang insurance? O the BBUL, bibili ka. Para pag may nangyari sa'yo, di ba, buo yung pera mo. So, maraming options yan. Ayoko niya, gusto ko property lang. O di property gawin mo. Monitor them. Okay, check on nyo from time to time. Baka may nangyayari na sa funds mo. Educate. Hindi dapat mawawala yan. Learn. Buy my books. Okay? Watch my videos. Meron po akong libro on investing called Build Your Future Today. You might want to be able to get a copy of that. Asan ba yun? Okay. Anyway, so yun. So, silikod kasi library ko And then, walang perfect plan. That's why you adjust. Adjust until you get it. Now, when you're investing, tandaan nyo, there will always be volatility in investing. Nakita natin yan with how the market perform. Okay lang yan. I will let the ATRAM boys talk to you about the volatility. Pero sa akin, volatility is my friend. So when the market went down, I have money. Bigyan ko yun ng tip. Tip ko to personal to Hindi po to endorsement. Wala po to kinalaman sa ATRAM. I invest regularly. In fact, monthly. Meron akong monthly auto-debit arrange na it goes to a fund. And then whenever I have extra, I go regular ako. So, cost averaging. Pero, when I see the markets dip, okay, and may pera ako, I add. So, blended yung approach ko. Like nung March, April, May, June, meron akong mga dinagdag. So, they're okay ngayon. Kaya, green ang aking investments ngayon. Okay? Pero, you can only do that if you think long-term and you focus on objectives. Nung bumabagsak ang market, nag-uusap kami dyan ng, mga taga-ATRAM, mga taga-Sun Life, kausap ko sila lahat Pero naalala ko, hindi pa naman ako mag-retire. Most of my investments are for retirement. Bakit? Mag-retire na ba ako? Hindi pa naman. Mukha na ba akong retireable? Di ba? Mukha akong millennial. Di ba? Millennial from the last millennium. Anyway, so, yan yung problema So, think long-term. If you're thinking long-term, di ba? Magigets mo yan Because in investing, time is your greatest ally. Use time as an advantage. Bata ka pa? Go! Sabi nga na, Randell, do you recommend the stock market to young people or equity funds? Of course! Kasi may oras pa At saka, if they lose their money, they still have parents. Di ba? Wow. Mawawa naman. Ako, wala na akong parent. So again, investing, time is your greatest ally. Use time as an advantage. Okay? For you guys. In fact, ito na lang. I'll put dollar. If you invest something like $200 or as equivalent, and you get a 10% per annum, and then you add on to that, lalaki yung pera mo Okay? Consistency lang. Consistency and time. And, bakit mo kailangan mag-invest? Hindi naman mawawala ang inflation. Although ngayon, mababa inflation given. Pero as the economy recovers, tataas din yan. The real growth of your money is how far it is from inflation. Okay, happy ka na, meron kang 3% return. Pero inflation 4%. Hindi ka kumita, nalugi ka. And here's what I want to tell you, ha. And of course, this is the economist in me. Yung inflation na ginagamit natin or the CPI is not necessarily reflective of your personal inflation. Kasi basket po yan of goods and services. Marami dyan na hindi natatrack na growth. Ginagastosan mo. Like education, maliit lang yung real estate. Malaki inflation nun. So pwede yung pie mo, pwedeng 4%, 3% yung CPI, pero yung real inflation mo 5%. If you're spending a lot on education, 30-40% of your budget goes to education, and it grows at 7-8%, and CPI is only 2%. So yung effective inflation mo, hindi 2%, baka 4%. I mean, we can do the numbers, we can do the mathematical adjustments for that. Pero here's the point. Kung ano man yung inflation, dagdagan mo. Kasi yan yung real inflation mo. So ngayon, mababa. Dagdagan mo ng 2%, 3%. That's doon ka mag-peg. Yung ngayon yung entry level mo. Okay? Now, remember, higher potential yields have higher risks and lower risk have lower yields. Kaya maraming nasascam. Akala nila high return, low risk, no such thing. Okay? So you have to understand what you're getting into. If it's a legitimate investment, risk-return relationship. Now, yung mga scam, iba yun. Last year, I went to Tagum, Jensan, some Mindanao cities because I was invited by a company to do education kasi dami na scam eh. And talaga, minsan naiiyak sila. Alam mo, nalungkot ako, iba sa kanila, pangatlong beses na ma-scam. Bakit? Sabi ko, hindi nyo ba naiintindihan yung risk na pinapasok nyo? Hindi. And that's why we educate. Okay? Now, ingat tayo. Huwag kayong magmamadali sa pag-build ng wealth. In fact, the Bible warns us. Wealth from get-rich-quick schemes quickly disappears, but wealth from hard work grows over time. Be steadfast. Wait. Diba? Wait it out. Hulog lang. Lagay lang ng something. Manage your finances well so that you can constantly invest. Okay? Maganda yan. ATRAM has a lot of funds. Okay? I have my favorites there. I don't invest on, hindi ganun karaming pera ko para invest. Pero meron akong mga gusto dyan. Okay, you do that. Parang regularly. Regularly lang. Dagdag lang ng dagdag. Okay? Year-end, may extra ako. Ewan ko, baka this year wala. I would add. So, very important that you do that. Okay? Basta, remember what I said kanina. Invest early, do it wisely, and do it regularly. When you do that, panalo tayo. And never invest in something you don't understand. Baka naman, diyan ka manulugi, diyan ka masusunog. Thank you ATRAM, ang dami nyo itong webinars. And these are all helpful. Okay, may mga gusto ko, inaral ko yan. Or you can also try, I have a YouTube also, some of them ATRAM guests, no? Lalo na when we talked about digital pera, and one of my favorite interviews was on tech fund. So, never invest in something you do not understand. Practice due diligence. Aralin nyo. Alam mo, nakakausap ko yung mga fund manager po ng ATRAM. Grabe. Ang gagaling nila kasi ang galing nila mag-aral. So, I trust them. Diba? Ang gagaling ng fund manager ng ATRAM. Wala na mga social life yung mga yan. Ano? Joke lang. Pero, di ba, due diligence. Huwag ka basta papasok. Ganda ng investment scheme. Talaga. If it's too good to be true, stay away from it. Due diligence allows you to do that. And, manage your risks. Sabi nga ng uncle ko, si Uncle Warren. Di ba? Uncle, no? Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Kaya alamin mo. Research it, learn it, read about it, diba? Investigate. Okay, you do that. Now, then there's also, I like what the Bible reminds us, no? Wag ding, there's wisdom in handling money. Ito, one of them. Ecclesiastes 11:2 says, but divide your investments among many places, for you do not know what risk may lie ahead. Ganda, no? Ganda na tinuro. Baka, dapat puro ba Bible sinasabi mo dyan? Kasi pag Bible, hindi ko na kina-question kung tama o mali. Alam ko, totoo siya. And ang ganda nun. This was written, wala pa mga Warren Buffett, wala pa mga investor, meron na nito noon. 3,000 years ago, sinulat na yan. Okay? So again, there's wisdom and you learn it. Now, paano ba talaga yumaman? Yan yung question eh. Pandemic daw, hindi. Marami ko lalo yung mayaman pa rin eh. So what is the secret to wealth? Here's my secret. There is no secret. And again, let me pick up from the Bible. Proverbs 6:6-6:8 says, go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief officer or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest. Tingnan mo dahil langgam. Baka si langgam masipag. During my last seminar, sinare ko to eh. I-share ko ulit. Ang langgam masipag. May nakita na ba kayo langgam na tamad? Wala naman, di ba? Pero ang langgam hindi lang masipag. Ang langgam masinop din. So, it's that discipline that's very important. But always remember, money is only a tool. It's not the end goal. Marami rin taong kilala ko na nasira ng pera. And if you understand, know the purpose of money. Okay? No. And here's what I learned. And this is a personal sharing on my part. I don't impose it on everybody, but I want to share this. I realized that wealth and even the ability to create wealth comes from the Lord. And it is not for our own purpose, but for His. The reason I changed the way I handle money is because I realized that that money is not mine, it's the Lord's. Steward lang ako. Eventually, I would face the owner of my funds and ask me, have you been a good and faithful servant? And I hope the answer is yes. That's why I'm sharing this with you. Okay? And that's why my focus is not about money. It's about the Lord and the kingdom and the building that, my participation in that. Matthew 6:33 reminds us, seek first His kingdom and all His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you or added unto you. Kaya nga there are no recessions in God's economy. If you know and understand His purpose, then you can claim His promise. Diba? Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to give you hope and prosper you, not to give you, parang ganun yung sinabi ng scripture. So in times of disaster, okay lang ako. Pandemic, steadfast. I know I will not wither. In the days of famine, I still enjoy plenty. If I put my faith, or I should, I put my faith on the Lord, not on money. Money is a tool, not the end goal. Okay? I wrote multiple books. Unfortunately, Build Your Future Today and the No Nonsense Personal Finance, yan lang yung available. Okay? You can order from me. You can go to my website. You can go to my Facebook page this way. And we also are going to raffle off those things. All right? Then again, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I have those things. You can catch me. Wala po akong TikTok. Baka si DJ may TikTok, no? But sabi ng mga anak ko, Dad, huwag kang mag-TikTok, maawa ka sa amin. So, hindi na ako nag-TikTok. So, ano lang, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. All right. So, thank you for having me. Baka may
Thank
TikTok
you, sir.
share mo
Wala
na.
akong TikTok, But I really enjoyed your talk personally.
Salamat.
And ATRAM, vision nga namin is to see all Filipinos investing towards their dreams and aspiration. Kaya no-brainer po to invite like-minded speakers like you po.
Salamat.
Retirement webinar next.
Yeah. Love. Galing lang, no? Kasi ako, I'm a big fan of ATRAM before. Hindi pa nila ako kilala, fan na ako ng ATRAM. So,
Hindi lang personal finance meron, may grit pa, may invest in yourself pa. So, hindi lang financial guru eh.
Dikit-dikit yan
Life coach eh. Oo nga eh.
Di mo naman mahihiwa-hiwalay yan eh, di ba?
Yes po. Very inspiring po. We hope everyone gets a chance to watch your videos on YouTube, like the one we had with you and David on the Global Tech Fund.
Yes. I think si Jun Tarobago, twice ko yata na-interview eh.
Oo nga po eh. Twice this pandemic din, di ba?
Oo, kasi kailangan natin, we have to educate people, daming tanong eh.
Oo nga eh. And to avail po your new book, I hope they also get to read yung no-nonsense infographic guide to personal finance. So, as you mentioned po, we have 5 copies of the book that will be raffled off.
Yay!
So, if you have questions and stay engaged, you have a chance to win the book. So, for the winners, we will contact you via email for details on how to receive the book po. And to our audience, please ask those questions. Let's look at some of the questions now from the viewers. Actually, medyo dumadami na siya. Medyo pumipili lang kami. Wait lang. Okay. So, I think for our first question, we'll ask po, we have an audience member said that student pa siya and that person does not earn much but wants to start investing for the future. Where do you suggest she puts her money in daw?
Unang-una, no? Wow. I mean, imagine mo, bro, kung lahat ng estudyante mag-umpisa mag-invest. Ganda ng future. Diba? So, Juliana, tutuwa ako dahil student ka, nag-aaral ka na. Huwag ka na sumali sa raffle kasi siguradong bibigyan kita ng libro. So, guys, can you give her a book? I'll send you one more. Hindi na kasama sa raffle yan. Kasi yung mga ganito dapat nire-reward yung behavior. And I will give you, in fact, I'll give you 2. I'll give you another copy, no, Juliana. I feel so generous. Papasko na eh. But yan ang ganda. So, sa student, maganda dito, no? Kasi, syempre, di ba, he can start off. Kung una mag-ipon ka. So, pag may savings ka na, you can now start. You can now, dalawang option mo, no? You can either go to the stock market, pumili ka ng mga certain stocks na tingin mong maaaral mo, or you can start with the fund. Okay? Baka mag-umpisa, mag-start ka ng fund. Kasi may mga, sorry, magpa-plugging ako. Punta ka sa seedbox.ph. Okay? Marami mga pwedeng gawin doon. Dito yung mga bagay sa'yo, yung mga tech fund, yung mga ganyan. Kasi bata ka pa, mahaba pa yung PC mo. So, lagay ka lang ng 1,000, 2,000, basta in-excess mo. Magpapasko, baka may ampaw ka, may mga regalo ka. So, you wanna be able to add. Just keep on adding on to that. So, funds, equities is perfect for you. Kasi, alam ka naman mag-recommend ako ng property sa'yo, di ba? So, hindi naman. So, yan, you win the book. You actually didn't win. I gave you the book. So, I hope that
Okay, thanks po. I like your
Ani,
answer.
papadala ko sa inyo, Ani.
Okay, so next question po. She would like to know what is the investment if the goal is to have 5 million after 10 years? 40 years old na po siya and the plan is to invest for 10 years.
Yan.
It's in advance po.
Okay, you can do Rose Melinda. Or you can do a little bit of computation. No? The process is called time value of money. So tingnan mo, ang end goal mo is 5 million. So 5 million, apply, merong to computation, maybe guys, you can compute for Miss Rose Melinda. No? You can actually derive ano yung amount, assuming, let's say 8% return, how much money do you need to put? And that is something that you need to do on a monthly basis. So may numbers yan na gagawin. And then maybe you can choose an equity fund that's going to be good for that so that you can maximize return and start that. So I don't have time, but I can compute it for you. But maybe ATRAM guys, you can compute for Miss Rose Melinda para alam mo yung target amount mo dyan.
Okay po. We'll get back to Miss Rose Melinda for that para we could provide like
I can answer it, pero you know, I have to answer the others so I have to do my
Okay, so the next question po, Sir Randy. Alam niya how bad her cash flow is and she knows that she needs to change it. Pero you're right daw, no matter how big her salary is, parang kulang pa. Ano ba yung practical or forceful things na pwedeng gawin to change?
So Karen, no, the first thing that you do, you need to have get a grip on your desires. Ano ba yung dahilan kung bakit ka nagkaka-negative? So, Randell ako, hindi ako Randy. Okay, so you wanna be able to control that first. Ano ba yung nagkukos sa'yo ng problem? So again, at the end of the day, no other way to do it but discipline. Like, paano ba huminto magsigarilyo? Di huminto. Di ba? Alam mo yung ganun? So, meron yung mga bagay. So, you have to cut on certain things. Another way to do it is to do auto-debit, auto-savings. So, para bago lumabas, yung concept na pay yourself first, that's gonna work. Pero, that is not a foolproof kasi kahit naman in auto-debit, pwede mo withdrawin, di ba? So, you have to go back. Balikan mo yung budget mo. How can I cut? Ano ba yung mga kailangan ko? Sometimes practical. Ito extreme Tatanggalin mo si Shopee at si Lazada sa app mo. Huwag ka pumunta ng mall, 'di ba? O magpalit ka ng kaibigan, classic no. Kaya lahat ng kaibigan mo magastos di huwag ka sumama sa kanila, 'di ba? Maghanap ka ng kuripot, saka mahilig magnegosyo, mahilig mag-invest. And eventually, that's why, bad companies corrupt. So good companies will give you good friends will help you also. So mentoring, coaching, those things will help you. Read more, watch more, be encouraged. Do more sessions like ATRAM, di ba? They're really helpful. Walang straightforward answer Okay, next.
All right. So for a family of 4 daw, they have 2 children, ages 15 and 6. How will the order of priorities should be? Health fund ba, educational fund, or for the retirement fund? Thanks, Sir Randell.
So Noemi, lahat yan. Okay? Lahat yan kailangan. So very important is to allocate. Okay, health fund, syempre importante yan, emergency funds. So siguro mangyayari dyan, order of priorities. Emergency funds first, savings funds, and then starting off also insurances, kasi kung may mayroon sa inyo, and then you can now, pwede mo isabay education tsaka retirement. Okay? So allocate ka lang ng certain funds and you use ATRAM products for this. It will really help you. Okay, next.
Okay, so next question po. Sir, you said in your interview on ANC, on the money, personal finance is anti-cultural. Could you elaborate more on it po? And,
Wow, talaga nag-research. Okay. Alam mo kasi yung kultura natin, 'di ba? Spend, spend, spend. Bahala na si Batman. 'Di ba? Yung mga ganyan, yung mga, alam mo bro, when I do my road shows, sir, okay naman yung tinuturo mo, pero 'di ba dapat nag-i-enjoy? Gets ko naman 'yon. Mga ito pa nakakatawa. Aanin pa ang pera. Aanin pa ang damo pagpatay ng kabayo. Narinig niyo mga bagets kayo, hindi niyo alam yan. Aanin pa ba ang damo pagpatay ng kabayo? Mga ganyan ang sagot sa akin. May sagot ako diyan alam niyo no? Okay. Bakit kabayo ka ba? Okay, so yun yung mga ganun situation. So, our culture wants us to spend, bahala na, you should help your parents. Lahat yan, kahit na cultural yan, hindi necessarily tama yan. Kaya nga I use the Bible because the Bible is my guide. It's my base. So, I learned how to do it. So, ako personally, I would go against, hindi po kinakasanayan, I would do it because I know what has to be right. So, kaya I said countercultural. Kultura kasi natin yan eh. Kaya nga marami sa ating mahirap eh. Di ba? Kasi mali din yung kultura natin. Di ba? Kaya ngayon gano'n, padala. O, example ito. Love ko mga OFW, pero minsan parang, kailangan mo magpasalubong sa buong barangay. Kultural yun eh. Hindi naman eh, diwag. Di ba? Ay ako, real, di ako papasalubong. Di ba? Dalas ko mag-travel, papasalubong ko lahat. May misis ko lang kasi pag walang pasalubong sa misis, baka hindi ako makapasok. Pero mga ganun lang. Pero the rest, I learned how to say no. Parang, my siblings, nagets na nila na I don't have to give them pasalubong every time I travel. Niloloko nila ako. Pero sanay na rin sila sa akin.
May interesting question po kami dito. Hello, planning to start gifting yung goddaughter niya as an investment as early as now instead of material things. So what would you recommend daw for 10 years old and below?
Yan, mutual funds or UITF. Kasi it's a passive approach, but kasi gift lang naman yan eh. You can buy 5,000 or whatever. In fact, I have somebody approach me and sabi niya, every year I spend so much on my pamangkin. So I think in the last 4 years, bibili siya ng fund. Yun ang nilalagay niya. And now it's a perfect time kasi ganda ng markets ngayon. So yun ang magandang iregalo. Okay? So funds will be a good gift to them. Okay. Minsan ganun din ako, mga inaanak ko sa kasal, binibigyan ko ng cash pero naka MF, mga ganun. So, pwede yan.
Okay, yun next one, I am a breadwinner daw of the family and only sibling among us na hindi kasal. So, planning to settle down with yung girlfriend niya. But, parents depend on him kasi because they don't have any savings or retirements and both senior yung parents. So, blessing to help out with yung parents. Pero, how daw to handle the situation?
Okay. I feel you, bro. I feel you. Sobrang dami ko nang na-mentor na ganyan, na coachan. Number one, hindi fair na ikaw lang kumakarga ng responsibilidad. At the end of the day, you need to talk to your family to be able, kasi una-una, you can't do anything with your parents. Nandiyan na yan eh. So, what you can do right now is to talk to the sibling. Mag-aasawa na ako. Diba? You do it respectfully in a way and learn how to do it. Number one, kung hindi mo yan inayos yan, magiging cause of away yan sa inyong mga magkakapatid o sa inyong mga asawa rin later on. So, talk to your siblings, create a budget for them, and then contribute. Otherwise, it's gonna be unfair. Alam nga naman, hindi ka mag-asawa, di ba? So, yun ang hindi maganda sa atin eh, kasi just like dependent. Hindi ka naman nag-asawa eh. OFW ka naman, sa'yo na lang lahat. Mali yun eh. Okay? That's my take on it.
Okay, next question po. Saving for education for 2 sons daw. Still young, 8 years and 4 years old respectively. So at approximately what percentage return of the investment annually should he invest in daw? And would you suggest any investment in equity or combination of equity and low risk po?
Siguro pag education, no? Kasi ako, natutuo naman later on, baka kaya mo naman talaga bayaran yung education nila. So ako, if you wanna maximize equity, lalo kung mahaba pa yung time mo, maybe I'll go off the limb here. I probably would request 100% equity for educational funds. But if you're, if your risk is not comfortable, maybe 50-50, 60-40. So, yung targeted return mo, you should target a return of at least 7-8% or 9 or 10% to do that, no? And so you do have to do a little bit of research on that.
Okay. I think that's all the time that we have.
Oo
Thank
nga,
you
ang dami eh.
all for your questions. And thanks, Sir Randall, for sharing your knowledge. We'll be actually announcing the winners na, other than Miss Juliana, who will get another book po. So the 5 winners that we have selected are si Miss Rose Malinda Reverente, Karen Ara Migueleng, Noemi Barte, Bea Eli, and Ryan Gonzaga. So please check your emails po. We will be contacting you so that we could give you details as to how you could receive po the book. And if you have any further questions, yes po, Sir Randall?
No, thank you. So I'll send you 6 books.
Great, great. So if you have any further questions or would like to learn more about ATRAM's funds and strategies, please get in touch with your relevant ATRAM relationship manager. Marami po yung nasabi si Sir Randall na good strategies na pwede niyong investan. Or visit our website, www.atram.com.ph. And in case you have not registered for our special webcast next week, entitled Philippines Reopening the Future of Retail, you may do so by scanning the QR code at the lower right-hand portion of the screen, or you may also type in the link found on the middle of your screen, the bit.do/special webcast F7. And we also have webinars lined up for December, topics of which will be featured in our social media pages. We would also like you to invite, you to join our new official Viber community, #ATRAMPH community, to stay updated on the latest announcements, advisories, and reminders. So you could scan the QR code that will be flashing on your screen, or visit the link bit.do/ATRAMPH. And that's all the time that we have. We'll give you a bit of time to scan the QR code. Thank you, Sir Randall. And of course, thank you to our audience for all the good questions. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today. And if you have friends who you think would like this webinar, or family members but are unable to attend, feel free to share the video, the YouTube video of the session, and visit our YouTube channel, ATRAM Studio. Lastly, please answer the survey at the end of this session, as your feedback is always valuable to us. On behalf of ATRAM, we would like to wish you and your loved ones good health and safety. Thank you very much, and see you again on our next webinar. Thank you, Sir Randall.